Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith. Today I'm going to be sharing an article with you guys coming from Yahoo Finance, which is actually sourced from Bloomberg, and it's titled "Food Costs Are Tumbling, but Shoppers Still Face Soaring Bills." So I want to go ahead and hit some of the highlights in here. It says, as a rout in the price of food commodities from wheat to cooking oil deepens, the cost of products on grocery shelves continue to rise. So almost a year on from Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which sent grains and other staples soaring to a record, a United Nations index of food commodity costs fell for a 10th straight month in January, the longest falling streak in at least 33 years. Contrast with the food inflation that's worsening as at a cost of living crunch for consumers. Yes, and I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but I myself have noticed it. I'm just going to the grocery store, this past weekend, I noticed that so many of the prices on everything that I regularly purchase is going up. It's not something, it's very noticeable. Everything from cases of water going up by an entire dollar. I'm seeing, some of the fruits and things have only adjusted up a few cents, but, other items are going up by a dollar or, 50 cents or more. It just kind of depends on the item that you're looking at, right? Things like the half gallons of milk are nearly, $5 now. I don't know how people are going to continue to absorb all of these excess costs. So they say that food execs are actually warning of more price hikes to come. So this isn't the end of it, even as commodities like palm oil and dairy decline. So they're talking about, this is where I really wanted to highlight, guys. It says diplomats talk of the worst food crisis since World War II, with parts of Africa on the brink of famine. Guys, this is a serious matter. This isn't something that, anybody should be ignoring. We really need to be doing everything that we can to prepare, putting aside extra food for our families. They say that this striking dissonance underscores a significant time lag for farm gate prices to feed through to those paid by households. Moreover, food commodities only make up a small proportion of the cost inputs for products such as breakfast cereal. So that's only a minute amount. Even though this price is starting to fall, this isn't taking into account all the other things surrounding our food costs. So they go in to talk about how the farm level production of food consumed at home is about a quarter of the cost and only about 5% when eating out. And then they give an example in here about bread. They say the cost of wheat accounts for as much as a tenth of the total cost of a loaf. The rest is driven by transportation, right? So transporting that wheat, milling it, making it, packing, baking it, the bread, and then packaging it, right? And all of that to get to the store. They're talking about all of the high energy prices. We know this, guys. The cost of energy is not going down. They're still feeding through to these higher costs that we're witnessing. All of the workers that are demanding higher wages, they need to be compensated. And so that is going to be put on there. The other thing, this didn't even touch into the theft, right? That's another thing that we've already heard, where Walmart and a lot of these different stores out there are already saying that because of the high level of theft, that increase is going to be passed along to consumers as well. It says that it's the tail end of the energy price impact, but that's still washing through. We've got minimum wage rising, that has a bearing on almost, it says, all growers, producers, and manufacturers. And inflation has peaked, but food prices have not. And this was from Alan Jope, the outgoing boss of Unilever, which makes the Hellmann's mayonnaise and the Ben & Jerry's ice cream. They're saying that food giant Nestle is saying that inflation is expected to persist in the first half of the year, with maybe some softening after that. And I don't know how they can be 100% certain of that, guys, that there's going to be any softening. We can see all of the conflict and everything ratcheting up between us and the Russian-Ukraine situation. If that were to go full on, we're going to see even higher prices still, because we're going to have bigger supply chain disruptions. We're going to have difficulty sourcing things and maneuvering things that we import, right? So those costs are going to get passed on to us. And I would definitely expect, the energy cost to go even higher if we are to, if this thing is to get even larger scale than it has been. So, and that doesn't even take into account the droughts, guys. We don't know what the droughts are going to look like this year. Are they going to worsen? Is that stuff going to be alleviated? Some of that is just, weather related. And, we also have to take into account that impacting our food costs. So they say the U.S. food inflation saw the smallest increase in December in 21 months as prices for bacon, flour, and fresh fruit fell. And I can attest to that. I have seen where, bacon has come down a little bit. Fruit hasn't been as high as it was, but it is still going up. And even though it's only going up at these minuscule amounts, that's still more money. It's still an added cost that's getting passed on. And that may have been something that a lot of us could absorb in the past. But now that we are seeing all of this unfold, it is just getting to a point where groceries are becoming unaffordable for many. So they went in here to talk about how agri commodities and fertilizers are still historically expensive, and grain stockpiles remain tight, just as extreme weather in places like Argentina and East Africa damages crop prospects. So they say also rice, the backbone of global food security, needs to be closely watched. And we already know about that, right? We had production issues last year with our rice in California, and we've seen this, happening across the world. So we have to take this into consideration. They said there are still risks. Aaron Collier, an economist at the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, said in an interview, prices have come down, but they're still high and looking firm. So that does not sound like a really wonderful outlook to me for this year. I would encourage all of you guys to continue preparing to the best of your abilities. I know that is becoming increasingly difficult as we continue to see these prices climb. It's hard just to afford the regular groceries that we need for our families for a month. But, I would encourage you to do everything you can, even if it's just a few extra canned goods that you're putting back a week. I would encourage you to continue doing that. We know we need to be preparing for these things that are headed our way. Everything is very precarious. The other article I wanted to touch on briefly is this one that Fox News had mentioned. It says a Nevada rancher warns inflation isn't over and Americans should prepare to pay more for groceries. Now, this is coming from don't even ask me to pronounce that name, guys. JJ, I think Goichia. He said it also serves as the new director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Said the high costs for energy, feed, and fertilizer, along with a decreased supply of beef, are going to continue to drive beef prices higher in the coming years. And so we know this, right? We've warned about beef for quite a while. I know I have on my channel. I know others have. So if beef is something that is a regular part of your diet, you want to do everything you can to ensure that you have a source for that, whether that is, communication with a supplier in your area, or you have been putting up pressure canning beef, you have kept it extra in your freezer, you're rotating through that and you're replacing it as you use it, right? So it says they need to be prepared that they're going to pay more for grocery stores for their groceries, and that includes beef. He says that in 2022 beef and veal inflation was at 5.3% per the Department of Agriculture, compared to a 9.9% increase in the price food broadly. We already know that eggs had the highest share there for inflation. So he says the rising costs are the consequences of simple economics, a lower supply of beef and a higher cost for raising cattle. And we knew about them having to cull a lot of their herds last year, right? Because of the issues that they were having with the drought situation. So they say energy, fertilizer, and feed were their largest costs of ranchers. And those were directly tied to the country not being energy independent. And I agree with that. We should be doing everything we can to be energy independent, but this administration is not on board with that. And I think that feeds into a lot of, things that we've discussed previously, where this is all part of the agenda. This is the move, toward the NWO. So the rising costs, along with other challenges to the industry, such as drought, have forced many families to begin liquidating their ranches, resulting in a lot lower supply of beef. So, he says a lot of ranchers have liquidated. I know some ranchers have completely liquidated and they're going to try to rebuild in the future, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do that, right away. So we need to be thinking about that. And it takes at least 2 years to grow a cow to the size that we need in order to go ahead and butcher that cow for the meat that we consume. So there are 28.9 million beef cows in the United States as of January 1st. And they say that's a 4% decrease from the previous year. So this is just something else to pay attention to that I wanted to share with you guys. I would encourage you guys to continue to preparing to the best of your ability. We can't we can't be guaranteed that things are going to improve anytime in the near future. And with all of the signs that we see, everything that we witness, I know many of you guys are probably seeing the same thing I am on your energy bills as well. All of these extra costs, they definitely add up, and they are costs that we can't really get away from. We can drop that thermostat down to a certain as low of a temperature as we can and bundle up, but we still have to have our utilities. We can't shut them off entirely unless we're in a position to do that. And I know a lot of us are not. We're not completely off the grid or anything like that. So just doing what you can to sort of tighten your belt, making sure that you're aware of these things, that you understand that it's important to continue preparing. Don't slow down in your preparedness. Don't let it consume your every waking thought, but at the same time understand that this situation is not going to get better overnight. This is something that we could be looking at a lot longer. They're saying that it could be in the next, after this first half of the year, but I don't buy into that, guys. I'm not buying that line. I think that's wishful thinking on their part. Every indicator to me is telling me that this isn't going to get better. It could get actually worse. And so I want you guys to be prepared for that. I want you to be aware of that. So if you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless. Hey guys, are you concerned about the death of the dollar? Are you concerned about a full-blown economic collapse? If you are, I want you to consider giving Genesis Gold Group a call. They are a Christian-based company that is going to help you roll over your 401k into a gold-backed IRA that is self-governed. You also have the ability to send them cash and take possession of those precious metals if that is something that you would like to do. As we see all of these things unfolding before us, the sky high inflation, the move away from the US dollar as a petrodollar, and we see the central bank digital currencies that are going to be underway this summer. Preserving our wealth through precious metals is one way to sort of hedge our bets and make sure that we have something that is going to be more substantial to carry us forward. So go ahead, check them out. They are Genesis Gold Group, genesisgoldgroup.com, or give them a call at 1-800-200-4653. Tell them Prepping by Faith sent you, and God bless.